Yeah, so we need the plants, okay? Now, one of the things is, if you'd like to hold it, we have actually Mr. Bill Dorman's here, and could you just, we'll focus on that, but Mr. Dorman is from the city of New Albany, and he wants to tell you what they've done to make this a better place for wildlife and for you to study. Mr. Dorman, okay, you go ahead and do whatever.
Well, I can kind of talk a little bit. My name is Bill Dorman. I work at the City of New Albany. We received a grant from the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency a few years ago.
What was the amount of that?
Right around $309,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So,
okay.
And that grant was strictly to do some work within the Rose Run, basically from Market Street all the way up to kind of the cottage. And actually it also involved fixing the school pond that you guys see over there as well, basically making that a little bit more attractive and hospitable for some of the wildlife and aquatic animals. So basically what we've been doing to start out with is we removed all the honeysuckle through this corridor. You've kind of seen it stacked up. If you guys walked along the road, you saw probably these big piles of honeysuckle. That's an invasive plant that if you leave it there will eventually take over and basically compete with the native plants and basically drown them out, as you'd say. That's the first part of this project. Now the next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through and replanting this whole area with native plants. We're going to be putting a bunch of grass seed down, and hopefully that grass seed, when it takes off, will prohibit the seed from the honeysuckle from reestablishing. So, but we're going to be putting a lot of shrubs and trees and trying to reforest this whole area. One of the other things that we found through this area too was grapevines. You guys are familiar with grapes. Well, there's this grapevine that's native to Ohio. I guess it's an invasive, so it's not really native, I guess you'd say, but it'd see it growing up the trees, and it would strangle the trees, and it's basically all throughout this area. And we've cut some of those down, and actually doing some research, some of those vines are probably 60 years old. They're about 6 or 8 inches thick, but what they do is they just grow up the tree and basically grow all over the branches and just block all the light, and the trees eventually will die. It's kind of similar to the vines down south called kudzu, which is kind of taken over that whole area. You've seen
Bill, right behind us is a tree. It looks like a sycamore with a lot of vines
Yep,
up.
you'll see it just kind of hanging
that's
down.
That's a real good Ohio tree, but it's just being strangled by grapevines.
Yeah, and so what our guys did was they came and cut them down at the bottom. So they cut them down, that kind of kills it. But the problem now is we've got to get up and try and take them down from the trees as best we can without damaging the trees. So what we're going to do next, like I said, is we're going to replant this whole area. We're going to clean up some of the litter that's on the ground, and we're going to get up in some of these taller trees and actually trim them up for health and vigor, we basically call it. Structurally, if you can get up and help some of these trees out, that'll make them eventually in the future take off and grow properly and reestablish seeds, and then hopefully those seeds will land on the 4th floor and take off and grow again. So.